Going to introduce Nathan Te Miha. He's a business owner, and he was born and raised in Gisborne, commonly known as the home of Bailey Mackey. Nah. And attended Gisborne Boys High School. We beat them 15-8 in 1993 when I was at Te Aotearoa. It was the Samoa Poverty Bay roundup game, actually. He started as an apprenticeship straight out of school in 2002, was a qualified builder by 2006. He's been busy. A project manager from 2008 to 12 and a business owner from 2013 to today. He's involved in construction, project management processes, and implements these across all the projects he's involved with. Other than dedicating his time to construction 24/7, Nathan also takes pride, like a good Māori guy, in supporting his whānau and his tamariki through their schooling and sports. Nathan, kei he koe. Oh, kia ora, pai. Hara mai.
Kia ora. Ko Nathan Te Miha taku ingoa. Born and bred Gizzy. I know Tama done an awesome introduction of giving a breakdown of where I've come from. I'll put it this way. It's if you went to the neighbours and borrowed milk and sugar, you thought that was normal. Well, it isn't, right? But that's okay. That's okay. Because being born and raised in Gisborne, it just basically made me the person I am today. So I'll give you a little bit of background. So my mother died when I was young. Never use it as an excuse. I use it as a lever to push me to where I want to be today. So my dad brought us up by himself, me and my 3 siblings. Love him to death. I was home this morning. Still makes my bed on the ground. Gets me the itchy blanket. Sore back. He still thinks I'm still that 18-year-old kid that he used to look after. So you're wondering why I'm here today. First of all, big thank you to Ariana and Amotai, he waka i kino back then with Tanya and them. And it was a privilege to be involved in something like this, especially if it's to enable our Māori and Pasifika peoples for the future. Because remember, we're all here to build for generations, not next year, not 2 years, it's 100 years. And I most probably won't even be on this earth by then, but that's all good. My kids and their kids and their kids will be. And so we're talking about generational change. So it's funny, I was coming home on the plane this morning and I screenshotted this thing, and I'm sure everyone knows what diverse suppliers and all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to read it out anyway. Can be a cornerstone of any organization's success, helping companies to ethically maintain profits whilst growing customers and improving economy and encouraging innovation. So I'm just going to scroll my page. Excuse me. So I am a shareholder and director of construction for Iconiq Group, which was established 2 years ago, introduced to Amotai or He Waka Eke Nō 2019, where the doors were basically opened to both CRL. Berenice is here as a representative. You've got Taylor Norman in them from Kaingaora. But the doors were open, but I still had to do the hard work, you know what I mean? It's been on a panel and you've got to go through those painful things, especially health and safety and all that kind of stuff, which I hate. But that's why we employ other people to do that, right? And so we went through that. And so as of today, we are a build partner for KO in both Auckland and Gisborne. We are also a development partner with KO as the end user. At the moment, big thanks to Amotai opening those doors. We also have resources on the CRL contract. And as of today, we have more than $50 million turning over in social housing. For 90% of it is in Gisborne. So what I want to talk about in terms of, I always want to talk about home and how can I help my people. So the biggest thing I reckon we look at, we have to identify, and I suppose I want to make mentions to our Hawkins brothers, our Fletchers brothers, and so forth that do amazing jobs in the construction industry because, of course, they have the capabilities of fulfilling the contracts. So what it is, from my point of view, is what I do as a director of a business is I understand other Māori smaller businesses, the concrete layer, the drainage guy, the plumber. Has he got the capabilities of fulfilling my contracts as a tier 1 business? Contracts 120 million? Nah, he doesn't. How do you know that? How come he can't do the $1 million toilet ablution block down the bottom? How come he can't do the gyp fixing contract that's only $500,000? So what I'm trying to get to is you need to understand how social procurement, or how you diversify the use of contracts. Also, understanding and where to plug in smaller business owners within your tier one business, or as you call it, a buyer. I also want to talk about leveraging businesses. So for example, if you've got smaller businesses, yes, everything's about profit. Why can't it be an open book thing? You know what I mean? Yes, we have margins. Everything's about making money. Everything's about bottom line. It really isn't. Because in that first phrase I said, everything's not about profit. I always use this big thing to students when I talk to them. You make $100, what is wrong with 90? Everyone thinks that you have to make $100. You have to screw him over, excuse my language. But there are so many ways you can critique it to give Māori and Pasifika a better opportunity today and in other contracts within government. Also, I want to talk about opportunities. Of course, huge things, influences. People influence the decision on a Māori or Pasifika business having an opportunity in that mahi over there, if you want to put it. But it's disappointing. There's been times when smaller business friends of mine who own concrete gangs and plumbing gangs and all this kind of stuff, is that people automatically switch off. And they say they don't have the capabilities. Did you even ask them? No, you didn't. You just assumed. Why can't we just give people a fair chance? And I think that goes back to the policy of 5% spend target. There's so many ways you can implement that within contracts. You just got to think outside the box, really. Also, yeah, huge thank you to Amotai. Big thanks to Kahurangi and Eddie and the ones that support, not just me, but enable me to connect the other smaller businesses into Amotai. Also, just demonstrating to other Māori businesses in the space. So what I usually do is I understand their capabilities as a business. So if I'm doing 3 terrace houses, he's capable of doing that. If I'm doing 50 over here, he can't do that. So why should you throw him under the bus? So you outline that. You give him 2, you give him 3. An example of social procurement in Gisborne. I was born and raised in Cambridge Terrace. I don't know if you know where their place is. Wearing bare feet was like going to school with shoes on, really. But I'm building 6 homes in Oxford Street. 75% of them are the subcontractors are Māori, which I'm just totally overwhelmed. They do have a long way to go, but that's for me as a business owner, is to mentor them through those barriers. You know, there's accounting, and I'm sure the accountants can contribute to that this afternoon. Also want to talk about just basically, appreciative of the policy going in 5% spend target. I think that's pretty awesome. So giving more Māori and Pasifika opportunities in creating businesses. And then lastly, I was hoping Minister Jackson was here. Big thank you to the PDU group in Gisborne, which we got funded PGF fund, where as of today I've employed 7 apprentices. We build relocatable houses in Gisborne in an isolated facility for social housing, for KO, and also for iwi. So we can contribute in many ways of giving back to the rangatahi and the people of my community where I grew up. And lastly, I've just made a quote here. Creating future leaders of tomorrow is our key goal and focus, especially for my business. And we influence their families, their whānau for generations to come. Economy shift is in the rising, people. Kia ora.